Good evening and welcome back to the DevVlog. We're going to do Time Barbarian some more. I want to get this thing done and out there so I can start getting to the new content on it that its purpose is. So with that in mind, I want to build an MVP, minimum viable product. What is that? And this is something that is now really the way that all the experts will say is how you should launch a mobile product in today's market. You want to get to a soft launch, maybe a launch of something just to get it out there into the market and see what people think of it and see how they're reacting. And for a large enough game that attracts an audience at all, then you can start doing testing and you can then see how are the players reacting to your new features and your new changes. You can interact with the players. You can get out there on social media and be present and field questions and requests and help be part of a community that builds your product. And that is the recommendation for how we should be going forward in today's mobile market. And all that said, really my primary goal of this product is that I just want to put some advertising into a game. I've never done it. I've always turned my nose up, I think like so many of us have, at advertising in our games. And frankly, all of my little hobby projects are just too small to bother with. They aren't worth monetizing because they don't have enough of a market to really turn that into any kind of financial incentive. However, this time around, I want to learn that content. I want to practice with it. I want to see how does that work in terms of what are the minimum entry, what is the minimum barrier to entry on getting that in. So could a hobbyist do this? Could a student at school create their own game and add a layer of monetization with advertising? How would that go? So that's what we're going to do. So without further ado, let's consider how to move forward next with Time Barbarian here to get to minimum viable product. The finished product on the Steam store isn't exactly huge. It's pretty small, but it does have custom crafted levels. It has the 3 enemies we've already seen here, as well as 3 layers of worms, and the worms are pretty friggin' awesome, so we're going to want those. And then also one more boss, the Ninja Turtle boss as well. But I'm thinking for minimum, so what is the minimum to call this a game? Could we do a soft launch? We're talking like an open alpha, if you will, without the custom crafted levels, without the worms, and just make it an ongoing procedurally generated system. Possibly that would be enough to launch a little playable game that people could start getting their fingers on. So let's go that direction, at least for now, at least until we have something playable enough. Once we get it enough playable that we can get comments on it, then we can establish whether that is sufficient or we really need to move on and implement all the custom crafted levels and the worms. So without further ado, what is it going to take to make this thing minimally viable? Well, as I play it, we're going to need more gameplay, right? This at the moment, once you kill these guys, level over, that's it. There's no more game. So we'll need more game, but also there's some pretty core stuff missing. There's no animation and there's no sound. So we have all the content for the animation and the sound. Let's start dropping some of that in and see if we can turn this into something a little bit more fun, punch it up a bit just with that. Okay, so with that means this is going to be an episode about animation. How to do sprite-based animation in Unity. Let's get to it. I already have set up my sprites and I've already imported most of them. As we can see here are all the little sprites for the character to flap his wings. And I have already put them, I believe, into my sprite sheet. I have a sprite sheet here. If I haven't shown this, and I don't think I really showed this before, this is a good technique for, as you can see, my artist has not made a sprite sheet for me. They have just made individual sprites, and that's fine. That's really good. I'll just drop those in right here, and then all I have to do is create a sprite atlas in Unity and then add the sprites to it, and as you can see, it'll pack it for me into a custom sprite sheet. So and I can add just an entire folder, so I can just take the entire player folder and put that into that sprite sheet. So it's in a sprite sheet. I don't have to do that manually. What I do have to do, though, we're going to set up these animations. Okay, this is the player, and here's something interesting that you can do. You just go, once you've got your character, your thing that you want to animate, you can just open the animation window. And it'll immediately complain that you don't have an animator. So let's create one. Let's create... no, where did I put the player? I guess I could put it with sprites. Where? Let's put it here. Let's see if that works out. Fly. Okay, so here I have an animation, but it doesn't do anything. Let's take our fly loop and drop it on there. And let's see if I can share the screen a little bit. We'll hit play. And there you go. There's our little fly cycle. It's just going too fast. Going too fast. Let's slow it down. Right here is the sample rate. Let's go to 30 frames per second. A little too fast. 10. A little too slow. Let's call it 20. Okay. Good to go. So the player has an animator on it now, and the player controller was already created, and it has a default state of fly. So let's check it out. There you are. Now I have a little flapping animation. All right, there was a nuance in the game where I adjusted the speed of the flapping based on whether you were flying up or down. So if you were going down, they would stop flapping, and if they were flying up, they would speed up. So we'll want to set that up. We'll also want these other animations that are in here to be added. Let's go to the animation window and give me a new clip. We're going to call this fire, and that'll be fire gun. We'll put that on there, and the sample rate we said was 20. Let's try that out. Player, play. Okay, that seems fine. And let's get another one. Create a new clip called Missile. And that one is Fire Missile. And we'll set the frame rate to 20 on that as well. The actual frame rate for these will be found if we look at the original source code. Okay. All right, and I'll do that in a bit. Okay, the player now has these animations. In the original, I just triggered them. Obviously, I didn't have any kind of flow graph for these things. Should we do things in the Unity way, though? I mean, that's kind of what we're doing, right? Is doing things in the Unity way. So let's go ahead and make a transition. There we go. All right, excellent. So that absolutely worked. Instead of triggering it or whatever, we're just going to play the animation, and that will cause the animation to go ahead and play. And the way we set that up, we don't have anything transitioning to the fire automatically at all. In fact, I'm going to remove this parameter right here. There's a way to remove the parameter in there. Delete. There you go. I'm going to remove that parameter. It's gone. There's nothing that causes the fire to begin on its own. We will script that just with this one. Yeah, you know, I'm going to do the missile the same way as long as I'm at it. Let's be consistent. So nothing transitions to the missile on its own, but it does go backwards. So we don't need these parameters at all. And we don't even have missiles yet. All right, so there's our animation. Let's also look at the speed of the animation that was controlled by the flight. Let's see if that was in the player code maybe. Fly, here we are. Yep, here we are. So based on your speed, we're going to tweak the animation rate. Okay, fast speed, slow speed, shooting, resets it. That gives it a little bit more dynamic feel. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, enemies time. Let's do the same treatment for the enemies, but first let's get rid of this log. We don't need that. And let's make this a const because I'm happy with that. All right, so enemies need the same treatment. Let's start with, they're in the resources now. Enemy number 1. Enemy number 1. And we'll do window animation. Yeah, we're going to create one. And we're going to create, let's put it in the sprites. Enemy number 1. Call it enemy 1. Anim. Wait, we wanted to call it fly. Create a new clip. Fly. And a new clip. Fire. And that's it. They don't have anything else. Let's show us fine. Okay, so the enemy sprites. Enemy number 1. Here's his flying. Not firing. Fly. Fly. There you go. Select the guy. Looks good. 15 is the base frame rate. That's fine. And play. All right. Cool. Awesome. Fire animation. Boom. 15 is the frame rate. And let's hit play. Okay. That's all good. Let's delete this animation I accidentally created and make sure that's not on here. It is. Delete that. Fly is the base state, and we can transition on exit out of fire back into fly at any time. Okay. The enemy needs to play the fly animation. It will automatically. It needs to play the fire animation. That's what's missing. Let's see. He's flying. Oh, I left his fire animation as a loop. I know I did. It's not a loop. It's still looping. Yeah, I think that's not going to work. I think he's just holding down the button, and that's not really what we want to do. We want to do it when the weapon fires. Does the weapon have an owner? It does. It has a game object owner. We can send a message back up to the owner saying that we fired and let them deal with it. Let's just do that, I suppose. If holding trigger and firing, we're going to do M owner, convert it to a bird, or we just do send message. Send message on fire weapon. Okay, let's tell the bird that we have fired. So we'll say, I don't know, does that require that it be public? I don't think it does. Void on fire weapon if null not equal to manim dot play fire. Let's also say manim dot speed equals 1.0. Okay, we'll do that. And that means that the player will not need to do this anymore. And yeah, and the enemy bird won't need to do that anymore. Let's see if that works. Okay. Cool. That looks right. That looks excellent. Except now I'm not repeating my bullet at the right speed for the player. But I think that's fixable if we also say play it from 0. Will that work? There we go. Excellent. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. And enemies. Nice. They got the little green flash on them. All right. Cool. Let's do the other enemies. enemy number 2. And window, animation window. Create for enemy number 2. He needs a fly anim. And he will, let's just put that sprite. The sprite's in. Sprites, enemy 2. Here's your fly cycle. At 15 frames per second. Let's create another clip called fire. And here's your fire not cycle at also 15 frames per second. And make sure that one's not a loop. That one should work. Let's go adjust enemy number 3. And that should work. Let's get some enemies going here. Not sure if I saw the fire animation on that one. Oh yeah, I definitely am seeing it. I'm seeing it. Yeah, I may want to speed that up. I'm feeling like 15 frames per second is too slow. Let's see this one. Yeah, let's tweak them. Let's adjust that animation speed for those fire animations. Yeah, it's a little more dynamic looking, right? Okay. So that's animation for the birds, animation for the player and the enemies. So that's animation for the birds and the enemies. There are some enemy bullet animations. So let's do those and then we'll call that a night. I don't think the player's bullets were animated, were they? There you go, look at that animation. Oh yeah, look at that with the blinking and everything. Okay. Okay. So that's a pretty good start at the animation and a good look at the workflow on how to get sprite animation in. Very smooth and heasy, very simple. Next time, I think maybe we'll throw in some effects. We'll build on the idea of these animated sprites to do, you know, hit splashes and the fire bursts when the eggs hit the lava, that kind of thing. So look for that to be coming at some point in the future. Okay, and for now, I'll see you out there.